Let me preface this flocking thought, or these flocking thoughts, with I don't hate turkeys, but I hate them in my backyard. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to lay a lot of, can't think of the word off the top of my head. I'm going to just sit here and do this until I think of the word. But I'm going to hedge myself basically a lot so that you don't think I just hate turkeys. Because I don't. I don't hate turkeys. And even though this video is coming out shortly after Thanksgiving, no, I didn't eat turkey on Thanksgiving either. But I hate turkeys in my backyard. These are my flocking thoughts. Intro song! Intro! The banjo would play here. This is where the banjo intro comes in. The wild turkey is a bird of fables throughout United States history because, it's often referred to as the bird that Benjamin Franklin promoted as this should be our national bird instead of the bald eagle, which, of course, the bald eagle ended up becoming the national bird. And even though it's kind of a scavenger that feeds on carcasses a lot, Benjamin Franklin, knowing that, thought, oh, wild turkey, better as our, hold up to our standard. So, with all that in mind, the turkey has become a favorite of people because it's easy to see, it's easy to find. It's got these, outrageous displays during their breeding season. But for me, I despise them in my backyard. And here's why. I am in central Wyoming, in the Rocky Mountains. And prior to the 1930s, the wild turkey did not exist in Wyoming. It could not survive here on its own. Its population did not exist in central Wyoming. So why do I hate it in my backyard? Because here, it has become a nuisance. Because they're solely reliant upon people, they populate, they artificially become dense in areas where people are. And of course, I feed birds, so where do they like to become artificially dense at? My yard. And they drive me nuts. And there have not been enough studies to show how much of an impact wild turkeys have on native wildlife. Because in my backyard, I should have grouse. I should have dusky grouse sitting on my ridge drumming every spring. And I've never seen a dusky grouse here. I should have a lot more smaller animals that hang around the yard. But again, with the turkeys here, turkeys are very predatorial birds. And they eat, they'll eat rodents, they'll eat lizards, they'll eat they'll eat so much. And it's not just a few turkeys in my yard. You have to understand, this is not 4 or 5 turkeys. They roost in a tree adjacent to my yard. And we're talking over 100 turkeys that come into this area. And because I have bird food out, they like to focus their efforts right here. And it drives me bonkers because they're messy. There's pooping everywhere. If you've ever seen huge flocks of geese that have been, artificially, congregated because of like golf courses or parks, you've seen the amount of feces that just drops out of them everywhere. That is what happens here. So what do? Because I can't actually do anything to physically remove the species because it's a game species, so it is managed by the state, I have to haze them. I have to deter them. I have to push them away. I have to scare them. Many neighbors have dogs, and their dogs purely are just to keep the turkeys out. So I have to haze the turkeys. I have to discourage them from being here. I don't harm them. I basically just make them uncomfortable and unhappy, and also try to prevent them from finding food here. It's not fun, and I don't like doing it, but if I don't, the turkeys then become a real problem. They can endanger themselves. When you have that many birds that are coming together in a single area that shouldn't be, they can oftentimes then lead to the spread of disease. So again, I don't hate the turkey, but gosh, I hate it where I am because they shouldn't be here. And many of the birds that should might have been driven out because of an introduced species to my area. Again, solely for the purpose of being managed as a game species. So I don't hate the turkey, but I hope you had a great turkey day. Those are my flocking thoughts on why I hate the turkey in my backyard. But when I go out east, I sure love to see turkeys eating acorns. As it should be. As it should be. Those are my flocking thoughts! Dip them in gravy. Slide them down your gullet.